Right, now onto the lighter topic of why the internet is broken. This is a logo for a protocol called Nostr. It's not a platform, and I'll get into some of why that is. I'll try and stay as non-technical as possible. I've tried to keep this quite problem-orientated. But just as Bitcoin enables from a financial sense, we've got all of these platforms now on the internet that are impinging on our freedoms from a digital identity perspective and also from a communication perspective. So this is the logo of Nostr. We've heard Nostr a few times today. Some Bitcoiners might be aware of it, but I'm here to talk about what the problem is and why Nostr provides some hope. Okay, Act 2. Is the internet broken? Yes, it is. So let me just play 30 seconds at the start of this. This is a 30-minute documentary, which is a really good introductory to Nostr. So if you check out Max DeMarco on YouTube, you'll be able to see that. Where's my mouse gone? Oh, there it is. So yeah, definitely go check it out, but I'm just going to play the first 30 seconds of it to give you some context.
Social media used to be a place of freedom and openness. But today, the reality looks different.
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. We weren't expecting any of this when we created Twitter over 12 years ago.
My kids like a junkie.
Ultimately, there's one person that is in charge of what people see or don't see.
Very hard to leave Instagram. It's very hard to leave Twitter.
Every day, more than 2 billion people use a social media app called TikTok.
The business model is to addict you.
That's not by accident. That's a design technique.
Social media is broken. I wanted to find out if there's a solution to all of those problems. During my research, I found a new technology called Nostr. Influential figures such as the Twitter founder, Edward Snowden, as well as some of the brightest minds in social media, all say that this might be the future of social media. This is why I'm traveling right now to Costa Rica to meet with the guys working to solve all of those problems. I wanted to find out what all the hype is about. And you won't believe what I found out. Thousands of people are working on this technology because all of them believe we need to fix social media. This might be the first time that you hear about this invention, but it has the potential to set the world free again. Let me introduce you to Nostr. In order to fully understand this...
Okay, so that's a slightly sensationalist introduction to Nostr. That was focused on social media. Let me just get this back up again. That was focused on social media, but it's important to say that this is a problem we have on the internet itself, not just the social media aspect of the internet. So how do we get here? I mean, would anyone say today's set of social media applications bring you lots of pleasure and joy? Do you think we're in a good or a bad place with the state of the internet and apps today? Okay. I'll try and yell.
We have to deal with it. I cannot send away the truck. That's...
Oh, the truck at the back, yeah. So how do we get here? How do we get here? So brief history of the internet in one slide. So Web 1, I don't know, there's quite a few gray hairs in the room. You'll probably remember this one. This was about cyberspace, the information superhighway. It was about freedom, individualism. It was kind of, just focused on who you could be outside of your tight local community. So quite empowering. There was lots of talk about self-hosting. I used to self-host websites and email servers and things like that. You might remember analog dial-ups and bulletin boards and IRC services and stuff. So these were the early days of the internet where everything was possible, and there was a real movement around using that technology for good. But then the suits arrived, effectively, and we have what we have now, which everyone calls Web 2, and we moved from cyberspace to cyber jails, really. We have these information silos. You have your Facebook silo, your Google silo, your Instagram silo. It's based upon addiction and tribalism, because that drives all of the ad revenue, and I'll come on to that in a minute. And it's based on services, like I just mentioned, the different apps like Facebook and Google. So that's where we currently are. You might have seen a lot of talk about Web3 over the past, 5 years or so. It's basically all just smoke and mirrors. And it really is a detriment to Bitcoin, because you often have lots of conflation with shitcoins and tokens and scams in that. So for me, Web3 is cyber scams, information needlessly on blockchains, doesn't need to be there. Scams, exploitism, tokens, scams and tokens and scams, is where we are with Web3 right now. So, if you ever get invited to a Web3 conference, just don't go. So we're kind of stuck in this, between one hell and another hell, really, because if that's supposed to be the next version of the internet, then I kind of just want to go back to the first one we had, really. So that's kind of a internet in a nutshell. So we went from utopian to dystopian to vanillian, which is effectively just being scammed for money. So those are how I see the three phases of the internet. So how do we start to get some of these qualities back to current contemporary internet? Well, before we go on to how that could happen, let's just talk about how the internet got captured in the first place. So how did Web 2 happen? Any techies in the room? We know what a 402 is? Payment required. So when the internet, well, more specifically, when some of the World Wide Web standards were being developed, there's all these codes. You might have seen a 404 pop up in your browser when something's not working, right? So there's all these different codes. There was the 402 code back when the HTTP spec was initially invented, but they didn't have a way to implement it. So it was kind of just put in there as a placeholder, because this was before Bitcoin, and there was no digitally native money. So you couldn't send money over the internet without using some form of fiat rails, some credit cards or debit cards. And so for a long time, and still even today, the 402 error code, payment required, is not really used. For the more technical people, things with eCash now are happening that enable that to be used, but it's a very small percentage. So the internet is captured because there is was no internet native currency for micropayments. You couldn't pay to read one page of a blog or listen to one song on Spotify or something like that. So because we didn't have this digitally native currency, our attention became the currency. So the only way for these Web 2 platforms to monetize was for us to spend our attention with them, and then their advertiser would spend their money with them. So we became not the users, but we became the product, because we're not spending this digitally native money. So these are some of the economics that are at play about why the web has been captured by all of these cancerous applications. So that's one problem. The other problem is neatly summed up by NVK, who's one of the makers of Cold Card, I think you were talking about earlier. He's, let's say, a highly toxic Bitcoiner in terms of, like, he just sees the truth and speaks the truth as he sees it. But you wouldn't build a house necessarily on someone else's land. So if you're a content creator and you've got a big YouTube following, you're effectively building your house on Google's land. If you're an Instagram star or whatever, and you build a big following, you're building that content. It's not your content. You're building it on Instagram's land. So we're seeing some high profile, quote, deplatforming over the last few years or so. And we're having people really understand that the content that they create, even the photos you upload to Google, because it's convenient, or to Apple, that they're not your photos. They are Google's photos. And so this convenience is really pushing people down to reinforcing the siloed nature of Web 2 effectively. And you can take this even further. So who issued your passport to you? Who issued your birth certificate? You didn't issue it to yourself. There was an authority that gave that to you. The government gave that to you. And passports are now used to control freedom of movement. They didn't really exist 100 years ago. They were there as a kind of, thank you note to say, please, could you look after my citizen whilst they're visiting your country? But now I need one. I can't leave my country. I can't enter another country without one. And so, whether it's in the digital world or in the real world, you are you at the pleasure of others. And so when we talk about Bitcoin freeing things on the financial side, we need to start to think about other aspects of our digital lives and how we can free ourselves from authorities that might want to control us. So that's two bits. And then the third bit, and I think you've got an AI day tomorrow or an AI workshop or something, but it's becoming increasingly difficult now to discern what is real and what is not real online. Because, even, Elon Musk could put an entry in a database that made it look like I had said something on Twitter or on X, because I have no control over that whatsoever. And the digital content that's now being created by AI, whether that be text, image, video, whatever, we're almost at the point now where you cannot tell the difference. Was it made by a human or was it made by a computer? So this is another problem that's being laid onto contemporary internet today that is going to provide problems to us. So Nostr fixes this. We have the saying in Bitcoin fixes this. Nostr fixes a lot of these things. And I've just got one final slide to explain how it fixes those things. Well, this is the slide. We're going to build it. So just like with Bitcoin, we've got with self-sovereign money. With Nostr, you have a self-sovereign digital identity. And what that means in layman's terms is
Hello.
you.
Hello.
Can I get a
Yes,
mic?
little late, but the battery arrived.
Okay. All right, let me just get back to slide one then. It's literally the last slide.